Once you have your indoor data stored in GIS, there are now easy ways to curate your indoor maps and keep them up to date. This is ArcGIS Pro. Here we can see all the data that's been loaded into ArcGIS. I'm easily able to deal with this inherently 3D and densely packed information with our range filter and level filter tools. So let me show you that. This is our range filter, and we configured it to work with floor levels. So if I enable the range, it's going to slice through all the floors to show me only those on level 0, and then on level 1, and then on level 2. And then I can turn that range filter off. And you can see that the range filter applies to all data loaded into your map. But we also have our level filter, which is a truly floor-aware capability. So I enable a hierarchy of features existing in my indoor map, sites to buildings, buildings to levels, and the things that I want to turn on and off when I turn off a particular level. And once I have that configured, I get my own a panel displaying this nested order. So for example, I could turn all the buildings off on this campus, and I could leave this site on. I could zoom to that training site and see our training building. It only has one floor. I could turn that site off, and I could zoom back to the main Esri campus. I could also, let's take a look. We could zoom to, let's say I want to go to building M. I turn that on, and then it has scale dependent drawing. So I'll zoom, to a particular floor. And I can turn the training site off, and then I can go back to the main Esri campus, right? So let's do that. I'm going to go back here, and then I'll zoom into this one area, and you can see that I only have building M turned on now. And let's say I only want to view the first floor in M, and then perhaps the second floor in building O, which is next to it, because we have some move plan that we're trying to configure. And so using ArcGIS Pro, we have easy ways to see indoor information and keep it up to date. We also, can use tools like some batch processing tools to go from indoor CAD to GIS to get data into the system. And here we can pre-populate a worksheet with CAD information. Here are all my CAD layers listed, and here's the target GIS, indoor GIS feature I want them to go to, some buildings metadata, and I can list all the floor plans for each building here. And then I export that out, and once I export it out, it can be seen by this add-in. And then when we run the add-in, it brings in all the CAD to GIS. And then we can see the attributes of the data. So it's going to bring in all the attributes from that spreadsheet directly to the data that was created from it. And that's one way to keep your indoor maps up to date. Another way to keep them up to date is to use a partner product. This is Graybert's Aries Map product. And here we are actually using some information created from ArcGIS Pro to see into a feature service that's on ArcGIS portal. So here I've logged into my organizational account. I'm looking in our companion group, and I'm opening up a particular feature service. And I've loaded that feature service into the application. This application has typical CAD tools, right? Plus, it has GIS awareness. And once I load in, how I want to view the data, which is taking advantage of our level filter capability, so I can actually save that hierarchy out to an XML file. And we've done that, right? So it saves that way of viewing your indoor map data. And it allows us to retrieve only the one floor plan that we want to edit and keep up to date at a time. And so here I've selected floor 3 and building O. Let's just, for the sake of showing you how this works, I'm going to pick first floor and building L. So I click apply, and then it's going to unload the building O features, and then load the building L first floor features for me. So once it downloads the next layer here, we get to 6 out of 6 on the buildings there. It's going to load that into the map. And so one of the things that we want to do once it's fully loaded is I can go to the GIS Layer Manager here, and I don't want to see all the POI layers, and I want to make units my active layer, because I want to do something here to show you that it really is GIS data that we're working with. And I can select a space, and I can see all the great GIS attributes associated with it, right? And I can update that here and then sync that back to the underlying feature service. One of the other things that we can do is that I can add labels based on these GIS attributes. So I can pick labels, and I want to label them by the unit name. So that's actually stored in this feature attribute called unit name. And let's give it a size that is not too big. So let's try 0.35. I click OK. Check that out. That's pretty cool. And then because it's GIS, it's really easy to add other things like, we're going to do one for the buildings layer. And let's just make sure that we add the feature for that. So that's going to be F8 facility name. And let's make that bigger. Let's make that 0.5. I click OK, and then see I'm going to get building L here in the middle, right? So I could have chosen long name, and it would have said building L instead of just L. So that's pretty cool. The other great thing about this is that I can now export that to a regular CAD file. So I can use this drawing as a template. I can say, well, if you were in an area of the world where north, south don't align, directly to X and Y axis in a CAD drawing, you could rotate the drawing automatically based on an attribute in your data. Here we have an actual rotation field in the data set for purposes just like this. I click export, and then I can dump it out, the template to, let's say, building L1. And then it's going to create the template, and it's going to export out the CAD file. And so let's take a look. So here's going to be just a generic CAD file without the great GIS information, but sometimes that's what you need when you're working with vendors at your organization who are doing things like remodel work. And so here we go. It's pulling out all that great data, and then it's going to reopen it in a new CAD file. And then here's my new CAD file. So that's pretty cool. So I can see here that there's no GIS properties associated with this. This is just a regular CAD drawing. And so this is a great way to keep your indoor maps and your entire indoor GIS system up to date.